happen here in the first quarter. Suffocating at times.
Alex Caruso on the floor for Oklahoma City. Another one of the big pieces. Uh-oh.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Bring the Thunder podcast recap for you guys. Tonight, unfortunately, a rare event here. We are on the other side as OKC drops a game, losing to Minnesota 116-101. I think this is going to be a fairly straightforward review here, as it's pretty simple what happened. I'm just going to kick it off here. We just got smacked. We got flat out outplayed. Our defense was horrendous. Our offense was horrendous. Shai was trying to play hero ball all night long, and it absolutely kicked us in the butt. I mean, this was. Here's what I'll say: we're still the best team in the league. It's not close. We're still the best team in the league, but this is disgusting. This was a nasty game. This just sucked, frankly. I can go on, but wow, this was bad.
Yeah. Really slow start again tonight. One, probably because it was coming off a back-to-back, but I mean, I gotta say, that's 3 games in a row where this double big lineup looked horrendous to start the game off, and we can't just keep letting the game slip away in the first quarter and being okay and say, oh, we'll come back from 13 down. We were down 13 at the end of the first. Like you said, offensively, terrible shooting night, besides like Lou and Wiggins. I'll get to Wiggins after this point. And defensively, I mean, this was, it just wasn't our night. This was a classic game where Naz Reid will go for a 27-point, 13 rebounds, 7 assist game. Ant went 5 for 18, 3 for 12 and 3, so I'm not worried about anything about him. But Jaden McDaniels, 50%, 21, 6 and 5. Terrence Shannon Jr. was huge in the first half. Rod Dillingham had 6 points. Garza had 8 points. So it was just one of those games that, we let it slip in the first, and by the end of the first, it just wasn't going to be our night, which is completely okay. There's going to be games like this. I hate that it was the last game going into break, but it happens. Shai 6 of 21. It just wasn't his game. He started kind of forcing a little bit, and it just slipped away. But I do want to mention one thing, though. Rotations tonight. Aaron Wiggins got 19 minutes tonight. He shot 50% and had 10 points. I need more from him. When we see more of him on offense, we tend to be winning by a wide margin. So I don't know where him only having 19 minutes after what he's been doing. I don't know where that doesn't compute in Mark's brain for tonight, but maybe he didn't like the matchup. Isaiah Joe, horrible shooting night, 0 for 5, 0 for 4 for 3. So, yeah, it was just a game that we weren't going to get tonight, and just move on to the next. Get into the break.
I have another rotation issue. I'm just confused. I want sense spoken into me why Dylan Jones is coming in the first quarter before Isaiah Joe and Kenrich Williams. I get he deserves a chance, but this isn't necessarily the game for that. The second night of a back-to-back in Minnesota. I think he could be a good player. I just think we should play more proven players, especially after what Kenrich Williams did last night against the Heat in the fourth quarter and throughout that game. He played a very solid game. I just don't understand not playing Kenrich Williams the whole first quarter and putting a rookie in instead of him.
Yeah, I was gonna let you bring that up because I know you were having issues with that earlier. The only thing I could say is, honestly, I don't have an answer for that. But the last two nights,
I can respond to what's going on with that. It's mainly because of rest. I mean, we played 5 out of 7 nights, I believe, right before the All-Star break. So that's kind of the main reason that we're seeing that lineup change.
Right. I'd like to add something to that too. We've talked about this multiple times. This is what Mark does. He experiments. He's just throwing lineups out there. Whether we like them or not, that doesn't matter because he's going to keep doing it. I mean, we've kind of talked about how we'd rather see him do it in the regular season than the postseason, which is true. But it's frustrating to us, but this is what he's going to do. Mark is going to try lineups whether they look good or not to us because that's what he does. And it's frustrating as hell. It really is. But It's gonna happen. It happened tonight. It's gonna happen again. I
Yeah.
promise you.
The only problem I have with it, Landon, is after a night where Kenrich did pretty damn well last night, and we know how well Isaiah's been playing, they definitely should be in the game way before Dillon Jones comes in. But this is 2 nights in a row where Dillon Jones will come in early second or late first and only get like 4 minutes, and then they pull him out the rest of the game. So I don't really see where the value is in that anyway. Like, I mean, Sapir, I guess for rest, but what are we resting Kenrich Williams for 4 minutes? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to see if he's gonna come out hot. It's like this is not that kind of player. He's a project player. He's a young player. Why are we throwing him in to see if he's gonna catch heat and then he doesn't shoot the ball? So I mean, again, no hate to Dillon Jones. Like I think he's gonna be a good player. Like eventually, he's young. He's got potential, but there is just in this game, especially where it was evident within the first 3 minutes that we were not playing the way we should. So why is that the first player? It's just experimental.
It's more understandable if it's from the standpoint that we're up by like 8, 9, 10 points and our guys are getting tired and we need to put someone else in. But just putting him in the middle of the first quarter, I don't really understand it there.
No, makes no sense at all. It's an absolute head scratcher. But I mean, another thing I really wanted to touch on that I really think lost us this game. It was 2 major things for me. The first one was just all around the defense was just disgusting. I mean, I know we keep talking about it, but I'm going to keep saying it. We were 2 to 3 steps behind every single player on this team. Isaiah Hartenstein was struggling to guard Luka Garza. Luka Garza is a bad player. It's plain and simple. He's good in the G League. He's an absolute beast. And maybe he's got a place in this league. Not against a guy who's supposed to be this 7-foot, 250 guy like Hart, who's supposed to hold his own. He had 8 rebounds in 15 minutes. They were absolutely killing us on the offensive rebounds as well. They had 20 offensive rebounds. They had like 29 some points from their bench tonight. They had Shannon, who scored 13, who came in averaging 2.2 points a game. What are we doing?
Yo, I was live on TikTok and I see this guy scoring and dunking and running around, and I'm like, I know a lot of NBA players, and I've never seen this guy in my life. I'm looking at this dude, and it's like, who the heck is this guy?
Yeah, he was an absolute stud in Illinois. I felt like I was watching him play for Illinois again. Like, that dude was running us. Like, that is disgusting. That is not the way this team is. That's not this identity. This was not Oklahoma City defense.
I'm not going to shade Terrence Shannon Jr. because he, when I did see them draft him late in the second round, I believe, I thought that was a pretty good move by them. Terrence Shannon was great at Illinois, had some big moments in the tournament, in the conference championship as well. So, I mean, he's a good player, but against a number 1 team like this, that shouldn't happen. But it always seems to be one outstanding player against OKC. Tonight, it was just too many. Tonight it was McDaniels, it was Naz Reid, Naz Reid is a great player, but he's not 27-point triple-double on your head player. I do want to point out a lot of those early offensive rebounds came when Chet was at the 4. Chet was at the 3-point line, and Naz Reid is bullying people inside. Yep. That's why I've been saying for about a week now, it's not going to work out. I don't care how many times you want to, try it and see what. Move on.
I agree.
Start Wiggins or Joe at the 2 or whoever the hell you want.
Yes.
Let them play separate lines. Because with Chet at the 4, you have no paint presence, and you have clearly from what we saw tonight, offensive rebounding is a problem. So
it was disgusting watching like Naz Reid just go off, and Chet's having to play help defense, and he's a great help defender, but I feel like he can hold his own on the defensive end just by himself. Like, he's a better defender one-on-one in the paint than Hartenstein. Hartenstein may be a bigger body, but Chet's longer. And in general, he has better defensive instincts than Hartenstein does.
Yes.
So
and then
I would have preferred that.
And just to add what I was talking about with this double big, not only what Sapir said, Chet's a better one-on-one defender. He can hold his own in the paint for us, which is proven. Mm-hmm. After you start these guys, you take them both out at the same time, and then you lose Jay Will and Dillon Jones. No shade. I love Dillon Jones.
Switch into a 2-3 zone.
Yeah, you have Dillon Jones running the 4. Mm. What are we doing? Dillon Jones, I think he's going to be a good player for us eventually. But in these types of games, we're not going to experiment with Dillon Jones running the 4.
No.
While we're already down.
Yeah,
That makes no sense. I think this was a lazy effort by both the players and the coaching staff. I think we were tired from last night, and I think we just wanted to get through it and didn't really care about it and just move to the All-Star break. But that's not what I thought this team would do tonight, to be honest.
No.
I still think we're much above everyone else, but I hate seeing laziness by players and staff. I would be totally fine with getting our asses kicked for 48 minutes if we play hard. But tonight, it was lazy and it was terrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it was totally frustrating.
I also want to keep going on with this of J-Dub missed a bunch of easy shots throughout the game. Like he's going in, not creating enough contact. And this has been something that I don't know if you guys have seen or mentioned much of it, but I've mentioned a lot of it of J-Dub going in for layups and not creating enough contact or finishing through the contact. He's got to improve that going into next year, especially going into these playoffs. Like he's got to, make sure he finishes through the contact. And the other thing was Shai was just not good tonight. Like the moments where we cut the lead to 10 points, 1 point, 11 points, whatever it is, however many, like we cut the lead 4 times, if I recall.
Yeah, we cut it down to 6 twice.
Yeah, exactly. So we're cutting the lead multiple times, and those buckets where you would think Shai is going to make the layup or the, easy, 2-point shot. He's just missing the middies. He's missing, like we can say he's tired, but in these moments, that's not
it's not like
from that level of a player.
It's not like any remarkable defenders were guarding him either. It was just average NBA defenders. That first half might be the worst half I've seen him play this season.
No,
I think he was
it's easily.
Yeah, I think he was 1 for 11 at one point. If I'm not mistaken,
it's
awful.
It was terrible, and it's not just him missing the easy shots. He was just flat out trying to play hero ball the entire game. There was no. I mean, there was the play towards the end of the first half where he had 3 people hanging off of him in the paint, and he still throws it up. And at that moment, J-Dub was feeling himself. J-Dub had pulled us back into that game. When your surrounding players are the ones that are bringing you back in the game, what an absolute slap in the face to then take a shot like that. I mean, that is not the kind of player that he is. He is not the kind of player that is this arrogant, not going to pass it up kind of guy. I mean, we've literally talked about on this podcast multiple times. I love how Shai kicked it to the corner. I love how Shai's so easy to pass the ball. Tonight, it's like he thinks it's him against the Timberwolves, and that's disgusting. That's how you lose a basketball game, and he did it all night, all 4 quarters, taking bad shots, forcing bad passes, forcing double teams. I mean, this was the worst game he has played all season, and it was bad. It was flat out of character, and it was something that I really pray we do not see again, because if we see something like this again, I'll be concerned. I mean, this is something that he just cannot do this. You cannot let this happen again. This was just terrible.
It was an atrocious night for him. Bad shooting, bad decision making. But yeah, I'm not going to get on the guy. He's been the best player in the league all year. You're allowed to have one bad game. I'd rather it come against a team not like Minnesota and not on national TV. But yeah, like Sapphire said, I don't want to see this come playoff time, because that's when all this is going to matter. Tonight
we've seen this come playoff time.
Yeah.
That's what's disturbing is there's games we lose in this exact fashion during playoff time.
Right. So if there's anything they could have learned from last year, it's when Shai's not going and not playing good. There's got to be a different way to win, and there clearly is. I mean, this team is loaded. So I really just think it was an off night. The game got out of hand way too fast, and we were just scrambling, trying to put stuff back together. And
no, it's. I mean, like you just said, but like you were saying earlier, you and I were both saying this team. It's not like, well, we're now the 3rd best team in the league. No, we're still the best team in the league. Games like this happen, and it's not time to start freaking out or anything. But I will say this is the kind of game that you just flat out don't want to see happen right before the All-Star break. I mean, this is almost the worst time this could have happened, because it just feels so like Why are we just giving up? Like, it almost felt like we were just giving up. We're just saying, well, we've done so good up until now. This game doesn't matter. This game absolutely matters. Every single game matters.
That's the one thing that I really dislike. That's the one
Yes,
thing.
it's something that this team has proven this year that we're not normal. This team is not a normal team, and they exceed expectations. This is low for what we've been expecting this season. And while teams are allowed to have bad games, this wasn't just a bad game. We didn't show up. We just didn't.
It doesn't help that they don't have Randall, Rudy Gobert, or Dante DiVincenzo playing. I don't know how to say his last name. That I would be less aggravated if those guys were playing, but the fact those guys aren't playing makes it sting a little more.
Yes, and that Chet's playing. I mean, we're not that unhealthy at this point, and we lose by double digits.
This is the second game now where OKC has played on a nationally televised game and played against pretty much nobody. Obviously, Ant was on the floor, but we did it against San Antonio too, where the whole team was out and we couldn't buy a bucket, couldn't get the job done. Listen, I'm not going to overreact. This is our 10th loss of the year. But what Gabe was saying earlier, it's kind of like they took it lightly. I hope that's a false narrative. I did see J-Dub laughing at the end of the bench when the final second came off. I didn't like seeing that. I hope this one kind of stings. It didn't seem to be that way, but I hope they learn from it and move on fast. Obviously, they get their break, but back to business in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean,
good.
This team's responded through adversity all season. It hasn't been a problem. Almost every. Have we lost back-to-back games this season?
Probably.
This is, I believe. I'm not sure. I think we've definitely lost a couple back-to-back, but maybe one other back-to-back.
I could look it up. Keep going. I'll look it up while you guys are going.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing that I'm thinking right now is we have to. I will be upset if we don't win the next two against Minnesota. I will be. We are significantly better than this team. I mean, significantly better. This game cannot be the story against Minnesota because we are a much better team. So when we play them on February 23rd and February 24th, I want at least back-to-back wins. I think to be fully satisfied, we win both by double digits. I mean, really, this shouldn't be a problem against these guys.
If those games aren't personal, there's a problem.
Yes, absolutely. And that will really show if we're taking games like this loss tonight seriously. If we don't come out against those guys and have that will be my goal. Both those games, we should come out after that first quarter on top. We should, right from the beginning, this should be different than just a normal regular season game playing the Jazz on the 21st. I mean, definitely should bounce back for that game, but against this Wolves team now, it's always been personal. It has been. They're a rival. It's personal. And tonight we just got smacked in the rivalry because we didn't show up. So
yeah. So real quick, we've lost one back-to-back. We've lost 2 games in a row one time this year. It was the San Antonio game that I was speaking of before, and Dallas. We lost 2 in a row, but. Like you were saying, I am so confident in this team that you could quote me now. The first we play Utah, and then I think we play Minnesota again. First game against Minnesota, we are going to absolutely come out and kill them. Like, it's not going to be close. I promise you, you will see a complete bounce back game because that's what this team is. This team isn't a pushover. You can have a bad game. It was a bad game. But they'll come back and get you. So
it's bound to happen in an 82-game season.
Yeah.
Yes, but now is definitely, like you just said, Joe. Now is where we have to prove that we are not a pushover. I mean, we've been proven all season. It can't just go away all of a sudden in the second half of the season. Now is when we need to turn up and play, and if not just the same level, but arguably better basketball than we've been playing because final stretch here.
The only way I could see like a few speed bumps here is if Mark doesn't take a step back and go, okay, the double big's not working, we have to change it up. It's clear. I think everyone here right now talking doesn't want it to not work, but it's clear that it's not going to work. I mean, you have this young 7'1" Chet Holmgren who is the best paint protector in the league. He's a great stretch 5, not a stretch 4. There's no need to have 2 bigs. I mean, put the egos aside. Throw one of them on the bench.
You can't let Chet get flustered either. Keeping him around in this franchise is a lot more important than keeping Isaiah Hartenstein around. I hate to say it, but it's just the way it is.
That's what it is. He's a homegrown guy. We love Ihart. Don't get it the wrong way, guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Don't get it twisted.
But put him on the bench. Like I've been saying for a week, you could still play him 30 somewhat minutes, 29 minutes. Like there will be no value drop off. It'll just add more because he'll be getting to run the second line with J-Dub, with Isaiah Joe. He'll be a focal point in that second line. So
yes, exactly.
I mean, it's so easy to make this adjustment, and I really hope he does, because we're not gonna. If we stick with this double big, we're going to be down 10 in each first quarter, and we're going to have to dig out of that hole every single game, which you can't win in the NBA like that nightly.
No,
I mean,
at least against half decent teams.
Right. Like this team has shown that they can claw their way out, but you don't want to do that every night.
No, that's ridiculous. Yeah, and it's obviously not an ego thing with Hart because he signed with us knowing he was going to potentially be a backup. It was obvious. Chet was not hurt yet. He knew that his role was not going to be the starting center. So it's not an ego thing. We can't act like Hart's gonna get butthurt about it because he's not starting. That's not going to affect him. He knows his role, and he's clearly shown that he loves the environment here. There's no way he'll be upset with coming off the bench if he's still getting competent minutes. So
I promise you, right when we make that change, well, I hope he makes that change, but right when we do, this team's going to pop off. I mean, not like they haven't already, but
I want to mention a couple things. So one of the things I'll mention is Mark will probably continue to do this double big lineup because when it comes to playoff time, when we're facing, any of the bigger lineups, similar to like, let's say the Mavericks get healthy and we see them as the 8 seed in the first round, we at least want to see what the double big lineup minutes look like together before that happens. So I don't foresee that changing. The one adjustment that I would like to make for the double bigs would be to put Chet on the main center alignment, whereas right now he's kind of playing that power forward spot. And I mean, it works on the offensive end because he's getting this shorter, smaller, power forwards on the other side, in most cases. But on the defensive end, we should have him on the 5 assignment. So like that could be a small adjustment it's very small. It's easy. It's like, hey, you're going to guard the center on the other side. Yep. But if they have, a power forward on you, keep dominating on the offensive end until the other team makes the adjustment to put the center on Chet. If that's not the case, great. We keep, taking advantage of, the pick and roll actions that we've been doing. We'll still get him the switch that he wants, but at least on defense, like he should be the main rim protector for us. Other things I wanted to mention here, I got some stats pulled up. So obviously Thunderfall 44-10, snap a 7-game win streak here. This was the biggest loss of the season in my opinion. And this is just OKC's second double-digit loss. That's saying a lot here. A couple other things that I wanted to mention entering the All-Star break. We, of course, have the best record in the NBA tied with the Cavaliers. 8-game lead for number 1 in the Western Conference. NBA's number 1 defense. NBA's scoring leader resides in OKC. 2 All-Stars going into the All-Star break. J-Dub, Shai, and of course, we have the MVP frontrunner. So OKC at least needs to finish the season at 17 out of 11 games or better to break the all-time Thunder wins record.
And they're going to
I just want to say one more thing. The All-Star, going into All-Star weekend helps us more than hurts us because hopefully we can get some of our key rotational guys back, like Alex Caruso and maybe a guy like Casey Wallace. I don't know what the timeline is on his shoulder strain. I think
they'll both be back for the Minnesota games.
Yep.
Perfect. So we actually kind of need it. It's not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's nice to have, and then also Sapphire, you mentioned all the great things that has come with the season already. But don't forget, with Shai and J-Dub going to the All-Star, we do have our coaching staff going there as well with them. So that's all great.
For sure. Joey, do you want to add anything? No?
I'm kind of speechless. That's why I've been a little quiet here. I'm kind of speechless. What has occurred today. No, you're good. I mean, Yeah, I'm just kind of speechless what occurred today.
Before we finish up here, I want to ask your guys' opinion. I mean, I've been all over Aaron Wiggins. I think he's outstanding. I mean, 19 minutes, dude gets 10 points and 50% shooting. How do we do that to a player who's been lights out for us? We can't just play him 19 minutes and say, oh, he only shot 50%. It's not good enough. Like, he was our most efficient player tonight and in the minimal time and possessions he had. So opinions on that, because it bothers me, honestly.
I'll say something on that, actually. I agree. I like Wiggins and stuff, but I think it might have been just the lineups. But he was, for some reason, minus 26. I'm not blaming that on him. I think it's a rotation thing. I'm not sure who he was in with completely. He might have been in. Was he in when Jones was in?
He was
Does anybody know?
He was in the game when Jay Will was center and Dylan Jones was power forward.
Okay, so that's probably a big reason for it. That's the only thing I had a concern on. But other than that, I mean, I agree. The last few games he's been playing really good. I mean, even last game he had a couple turnovers, but he played really good. So I do think he needs a few more minutes than just what he had tonight. I think he should have played a lot more than Joe did, even though he didn't. He played 2 less minutes than Joe, and Joe didn't hit a shot. Over 5. He did not hit a shot.
Also, going into this game, I kind of expected Aaron Wiggins to be the guy that what he has been for the past like 5 to 6 games now. Of he's that spark plug. He's the guy that's going to get some of the majority of the minutes. I was thinking, honestly, like, if this is going to be kind of a blowout situation and we're going to see another Wiggins 20-plus point game masterclass. Right. And of course, that was well wishes, but it's still like we should have given him more runway considering what he's done. And he's kind of proven himself to start becoming really consistent. And we shouldn't change that around just because we have Chet back and, the roster depth is getting more. But like, if a guy is proving himself game after game and he's starting to get into a groove, you can't put him back, into the same situation that he was in, because then he's going to regress for the rest of the season. And we need him for the playoffs.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And I need to speak with Mark to understand why this happened. I think it was the end of the first half, maybe. Yeah, it was the end of the first half. Wiggs hit 2 big threes to keep the lead minimal, or the deficit minimal. Like, big threes he made. And then Mark just shut him down. Like, how do you do that? This could have been like a 20-point deficit going into halftime. But Aaron made 2 huge shots. Yeah. Left wing threes. So how do you see that and say, you know what, I'm going to go back to what I did to start the first quarter where we sucked, and then I'm just not going to play him as much? Like, come on, man.
If you're going to stick with this whole ride the hot hand thing, it has to be with all 18 guys on this team. You can't look at Aaron Wiggins and go, nope, we're going to pull you out.
Yep. And my opinion on it is it was just the wrong choice here, but he went with the ride or die on the 2 bigs lineup tonight, and that just took away Wiggins' minutes. It absolutely did. And I think he really doubled down on that with having Gobert out. I mean, having Gobert out, he felt like the double bigs was just going to absolutely take care of business, and that absolutely cost minutes for key players, and that was disgusting. I mean, that was horrific coaching.
And you know what? I think that's what the Cavs tried to do to us. That's exactly what the Cavaliers tried to do to us. They thought, the 2 bigs are going to dominate. They left. I mean, which usually the 2 bigs play together for them, but that's exactly what Cavs did to us, and it failed. Yes, and we do it to another team, and it failed. It's not. It's basketball. Yeah, exactly. Just because someone's a few inches shorter doesn't mean they're not a really good player and they can't guard those positions.
Right. Just because there's a potential mismatch, you can't just go all in on one spot and then just lose minutes for other players.
Yeah, you can't make that your entire game plan.
No. Just keep riding with what's clearly it's been working all season. So why are we?
Yeah.
They've showed that there's no mismatches. They've showed that there's no mismatches when it comes to our defense. We have a historically ranked defense.
Yep.
Keep doing what you've been doing. Don't screw it up. Don't mess with it. But anyway, this game's over.
I gotta say one more thing to this is before the game even started, and I see like Randall on the bench and Gobert. I'm over here thinking, to be honest, these guys are pretty low IQ players when it comes. Like, Gobert's fantastic on defense, but his switchability isn't there. Randall is IQ on both ends is horrible. So them on the bench actually probably benefited the Wolves a little bit.
Naz Reid.
Yeah. Naz Reid getting more minutes, being more switchable.
He should be starting somewhere.
Yeah, he should be starting.
Yeah,
so
I thought we would all expect him to be starting. I'm getting off.
Yep, he's a great
line
player
here, but I mean, they got rid of Cat. They thought Naz Reid was going to kind of come in and replace Cat. They're not giving him the role, so I don't know. But yeah, whatever.
His 3-point shooting ability at his size is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude, he's
a great player. He deserves a lot of credit, but we gave him a lot of looks tonight that we shouldn't have.
Right.
So it's frustrating to see. All right, well, we hope you guys enjoyed the little rant that we provided, but the important thing is just to let's not freak out. I mean, still a great team. We can be upset, we can rant. We're still the best team in the league. It's not going to change. So let's just go into this All-Star break and let's just have fun watching our guys play, watching our coaching staff get in there, and we'll come back. We got February 21st on Friday. We play the Jazz, so let's get our bounce back that game and just move on from this game. Like Joe said, this game's over. Let's just move on. Get on to the next one.
You can just look at it and write it down as a failed experiment.
Yes, exactly, and that's perfectly fine. So, all right. Well, as always, really appreciate you guys listening to the recap. Make sure you guys check out the other socials for more content. And Joe, why don't you send us off?
Yeah, the OKC Thunder are 44 and 10. Thunder up, baby! Let's go!
Let's go.